Have you ever wanted to experience the healing properties of aromatic rum firsthand?
He wanted to give us poison.
Have you ever wanted to be a professional bully?
Then give me my fucking winnings.
And last but not least, have you ever wanted to kill in cold blood just to get your hands on a treasure map that may lead to a rusty old treasure chest that might just help you pay rent? Well, if your answer is yes to any of those questions, you might just enjoy Risen 3 Titan Lords, as Piranha Bytes, a German RPG developer team, did their best 6 years ago to include as much beverage quaffing, killing, and swearing
Sweep your own fucking shit up.
into the third installment of the Risen series. Also, there's muskets. I don't know, I have a thing for them in video games, I guess. The story is kind of cliche. You become the good guy fighting the bad guy from the underworld, but the dialogue
Well, hello there, you noisy fucker. And how was your day?
and the overall theme are what set Risen 3 apart from other fantasy RPGs. You play as a pirate captain seeking to plunder the southern seas for uncovered riches. After your most recent terrible nightmare,
That bastard.
you wake up to your sister informing you that you've arrived on the Crab Coast, and to your surprise, it lacks any form of crustacean life apart from the one living in the name. Here, you're supposed to find a certain ancient treasure. You find out that you were ripped off only at the end of your path, where a Shadow Lord emerges out of a crystal portal, snatches your soul, and flees back into the underworld. A few weeks after being buried, a supposed ex-pirate uses voodoo magic to bring you back to life, and then your purpose is to get your soul back. For this, you'd need powerful magic, and you end up saving humanity at the end of your journey as well. And how else could you gain power in Gothic 7 than by joining one of 3 factions? Those 3 factions are the Mage's Guardians, the Voodoo Pirates,
You're a powerful voodoo shaman, aren't you?
Yes.
and the Demon Hunters, which are Galador's skinheads basically.
I'm such a coward.
Every faction has their own problem on their respective island, and obviously you're expected to help them with their own bullshit before they help you. The mages need help with getting their minds to be functional.
No do cutting shiny dinghy.
The demon hunters are scattered throughout Calador,
I can't even manage to pay my last respects to all our fallen men, damn it.
and the natives just need an item to appease their gods.
Then the scepter of the ancestors is now ready.
Your character's core aspect changes differently based on the faction you chose. You get a prism holding monocle as a guardian, face tattoos as a voodoo pirate, and contract leukemia as the result of actively trying to bring funk music into the southern seas and oppress the shadow minions in our society. Also, each of them have a unique currency when it comes to buying spells from them. Guardians ask for crystals, the natives ask for jade, and the demon hunters ask for tablets of ancient knowledge instead of gold coins. Apart from the typical combat helping, damage dealing magic, voodoo and crystal magic both have exploration eating spells, like the parrot flight spell, the crystal torch, and rust, which uses your crystal magic skill to unlock containers. The demon hunters apparently only have combat spells, but I shouldn't be surprised, it's in their nature to be aggressive. Now, being a Piranha Bytes game, Risen 3 has one major flaw and one major strength, and they are the combat and the writing respectively. Talking about the combat in Piranha Bytes games is similar to having a conversation about sex with your parents. It's awkward, it's weird, and you don't want to talk about it,
I don't want to hear it.
but you have to since it's a main part of a gamer's life. Both melee and magic combat consist of successfully pressing the left mouse button in a successive, well-timed manner, unless you want to attack slowly and be beaten into stun-lock submission. Also, sprinting has a cooldown, even though there's no stamina mechanic that involves actual combat. I guess we don't talk about that. You start out as a weak, zero stats character, as in any Piranha Bytes game. and you work your way to overpoweringly one-shotting most enemies with a single attack. The fact that you rise from being a wimp and ascend into total godhood is both satisfying and game-breaking. However, specific to the Gothic series, most of the time, you'll really just be thinking about which way you want to stunlock your opponents, however, rather than which type of damage logically is better. Melee stunlock is the most interesting, since you have the ability to block smaller attacks. However, bigger attacks will stunlock you unless you have the reflexes and the skill to counterattack them, and some NPC melee combatants will block and counter as well. Therefore making combat slower. Ranged, gunpowder-based stunlock is single target only, and golems are completely immune to musket and shotgun shots. However, it's overpowered early on since base damage is so high. Finally, ranged magic-based stunlock might be the best investment since it's area of effect and it affects the toolbar magic skills as well as the main hand damage. It's worth mentioning that Guardian's magic is elemental, and you would sometimes have to change spells based on monster immunities like fire or ice golems. The combat AI is absolutely fantastic. Your companions will often watch you get mauled to death while doing nothing.
Oh, what was that?
Because humanoid NPCs with melee weapons always wait for their turn in combat. Whether that means that they're stoned out of their minds or far too polite is beyond me. The main story may be boring to a lot of people due to how linear yet relatable it can arguably be,
Women. Precisely.
but I think that all the tiny details about characters, the world and the environment that you uncover through dialogue make up for that.
Okay, listen. Yvette got an amulet from me that wasn't mine.
Saving for a rainy day, were you?
You could say that. I took it from the graveyard.
How romantic.
You may be a soulless husk whose only purpose is to save the world, but at the same time, if you pay enough attention, you'll start noticing very quickly how alive this game is.
With me.
No, I got robbed by fucking poultry.
It may have neither the bustling cities of Witcher 3 nor the gritty, dark ambience of Dragon's Dogma's Bitter Black Isle, but there are very few generically named NPCs.
They'll get us all.
This may not make you look grand in the large scheme of things at first, but I think I'll never forget when Burke fucked with magic and this was the outcome.
Haven't I turned up a little late for that?
Enough with the smart talk.
Or when Hawkins' visions stopped after he had something to eat.
Just a moment. You mean the creature standing behind you?
What?
Or that treasure hunting quest in the Shadow area in Tacarigua, where Roscoe's dead father's treasure was supposed to be of such grand status that you'll never need gold again. Turned out, the greatest treasure out there is supposed to be yourself.
The mirror shows our image, and our existence is more valuable than any coin we can carry. As thanks, I would like to give you this diamond. Let its purity be a symbol during your journey. Farewell, human.
Fuck me, what a story.
The voicing, if you can't already tell,
I'd like to wrestle your big monster.
I can imagine.
I love it. There's nothing more exciting and adrenaline-inducing in this world than telling a bully to sweep the floor and admitting it shamelessly.
You are now going to make the lighthouse spick and span.
Most, if not all, of your dialogue choices affect whether you've got a caring father figure or a reckless biker vibe. When we talk about the ambience, if someone said that the sound design couldn't be any better, my thesis would be on the handheld firearms, as the sound that comes out of a pistol shot lasts for 2 seconds before completely disappearing. Obviously, I'm nitpicking here. The sound of swords clashing onto each other or successfully landing a hit is very satisfying.
Come on!
And also the fact that magic sounds accordingly to each faction. Voodoo sounds barbaric or jungle-like. Runes sound like Aurora Borealis coming out of the floor. and crystals sound about as elemental as they can get. The music, I feel like it's your standard epic RPG orchestra-based music, and I'm only going to say that each map has a song that fits at least the faction that lives there, and especially the songs that plays in the Inquisition camp on Tacarigua. I could listen to this on repeat for hours on end and not get bored of it. In fact, I have, and I don't regret a single moment of it. The inventory and the UI in general is rather smooth. That skeleton head bouncing around, the little gear that spins the more you scroll up or down, the cloth-like inventory slots, and even the sound that happens when you click something. They're all part of the experience, if you ask me.
Alright.
Even though the scene is set so well that you will very likely feel immersed in the whole jungle experience, and there's still a bunch of popping graphics here and there. Departing with your sloop or ship from one island to a new one shows this little island cinematic, and honestly, I enjoy the fact that unless it's Calendar or the Fog Island, it's very vividly colored. Hell, even Calidor looks a bit colored, what with the fires lit and all. Risen 3 is a masterpiece. Only highly intellectual individuals are allowed to enjoy this game, much like sodomy in Islamic Spain. My final score is an 8 bottles of Verschnitt out of 10. It's got good exploring, captivating writing, and a variety of places to see. However, it does not live up to the perfect engineering we're accustomed to.
I'd like to be able to transform into a parrot.